We'll pray for him for sure.
About time, LJ.
Mm,
Good evening. Good evening.
evening.
And the fatherhood champion around here late and all that.
Hey,
Hey,
I don't lost my championship, so but I'm trying to regain it back.
yeah, you'll be all right.
You want to, elder will keep taking it from
I know, man. I tell you, I'm gonna have to sneak attack him.
All right. I guess so. Good night, good night, good night, everybody. Good night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. Your weekly dose of fatherhood from fathers, by fathers, for fathers, and everybody else in the family. Um, tonight's topic is one that, as we think about, as we come to the end of Black History Month. That to me, I don't really celebrate Black History Month because I celebrate every day of the year, every day of my life. When I wake up and look in the mirror, I still see myself being Black. So I know the greatness in what I have done, and I see the greatness in other people and my ancestors that came after me, and the future of the legacies um, in the future ahead of us. So just wanted to, say that and tonight we will be having a very interesting conversation, probably one that's very meaningful, very important for the day. Tonight we will be asking a very, very important question when it comes to um, father and mental health.
Mhm.
So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit the button, like, share, subscribe, join. As I look, I see every day, every time I turn around, I see more people joining the YouTube group. So, soon, soon one day, I don't know when, but I'm gonna wake up one morning, we're gonna have 5,000 followers and subscribers or whatever that is that they have.
Mhm.
And we'll get one of those little plaques, then we'll put it up, say, look what we got, whatever, whatever.
you. 5 million, man. We're going, don't shoot small, shoot big. 5 million.
I was thinking about the
5 million.
B word.
Five,
I was thinking
we
about the
get,
B
hey
word.
man, we get 5 million. Hey, y'all dudes might have to quit y'all job so y'all can do some of this full time. 5 million, we get 5 million subscribers. We have a whole organization popping, way much more than
Mhm.
I can handle. But tonight's topic is mental health of the modern dad.
Oh yeah, little faith.
And and the reason why I kind of didn't just say, hey, mental health, and we kind of said, hey, let's look at this from mental health of the modern dad, because we know that a lot of dads today are taking on way more than what they took on in the past. When we look at modern dads and how they operate in the society. And so I really would like to, for us to kind of have that conversation. But before we have that conversation, uh, I'm going to do something right after everybody else introduce themselves. And then I'm going to ask everybody to answer a question that I have for them. So that being said, I'm Ron Osborne Williams, the doctor they call Dr. Osborne Williams, the curator of the Fatherhood Think Tank. And I want to welcome my co-fathers to introduce themselves as we begin our conversation tonight.
Okay. Elder Thomas Alberry, uh, uh, a father of uh, two kids. I had one, both of them are married, and from that group of there's 7 grandkids, 5 boys, 5 girls, and 2 boys. Woo! What am I doing tonight? But we're glad to be here. And like I said before, this June coming, it'll be 50 years that my wife and I have been together. And welcome, welcome all. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to say it's been a great day, but every day above ground is a great day. I'm Larry Jordan, father of two, grandfather of one. Just glad to be here, gentlemen.
Good evening, fathers. Uh, my name is Rohan Rodok. I'm a father of two young ladies, and as I always say, it's a pleasure being on this program to learn and to teach those who join. And hopefully tonight, well, we are going to have a very interesting conversation tonight. So stay tuned, everyone.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 3 young women, 4 young men, 1 granddaughter, and 1 grandson. So it's always a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to see what God gonna do tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donald Jones, and Mr. Lightborn, I like that dashiki. I'm a father of 2, a female and a male. Have a 1 adult daughter, and recently divorced last year. And just great to be back in the number for fatherhood.
That's all right.
Is that everybody?
I think that's Jay, but Jay may be. Oh, here you go.
I'm here. I'm Dustin. I'm a father of 4. Well, I have 5 kids, but I'm a father of 4 physically. And as usual, I'm here to always enjoy my time with you gentlemen.
Sounds good. So fathers, before we start this conversation, I really want to hear from every one of you. And I want you to think very hard about this and kind of process this. Since our conversation is about being a modern father and our mental health. If you had to rate your mental health today, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, just your mental health. And mental health can include, a variety of things, your mental capacity, your ability to think, you know what I'm saying? Your emotions about things, how your emotions have been established. What would that look like? What is that? What is that? Is that a 10 being the highest or 1 being the lowest? And I'll start with myself first. One of the just so you can't ask people questions and not give them the answer. The people that makes you the police.
Yeah.
Are the media. They ask you a whole bunch of questions, but they don't give you the answer that they have for it. So the first, let me just say, as I evaluate and process myself, I have to say that I'm an 8.5. And when and I think I've heard people say many things. I asked this question numerous times with different populations of people. And I have to be very clear because how I'm a 1, an 8.5. I'm an 8.5 mainly because of the interactions I have with groups like the Fatherhood Think Tank, the other groups that I participate in on a daily basis. So it's almost like going to a therapist 3 or 4 times a week, almost 3 to 4 times a week, and really dealing with, who you are, what issues come up to be able to talk about them. And even the ones that may even be difficult because afterwards I think about it and I process, where am I standing in that? And how is that really affecting me? So, 8.5 is a really great place for me that I feel that I'm at. And I'm at that place because of what I have on a daily basis. Maybe if I didn't have that, I probably would be at a completely different stat. I thank God every day that, people ask, hey, why did you continue doing this? Probably because it became such an important part of my everyday life. And not just like it wasn't a job, it was a part of like, hey, I can't wait to fellowship and get with these other fathers and evaluate myself as a father, evaluate my mental capacity as a father, evaluate, you know, my pains and sorrows as a father and live vicariously through some of the fathers who have things organized and put together that I may not have. Are the things they may have, and also then also see the fathers who have things that I don't have and who are in a worse situation than I am as a father, understand and balance me and say, hey, God's not giving you more than you can handle. He's also not giving you more than you need. So you just gotta stay on the staff, stay on the track until the train is hit the end of the line. So that 8.5 is where I'm at. And that's that's just and it's really really based on I'll give you a great example. Some people say they wake up. I'm just telling you, some people that say they wake up in the morning, they might be a two, and then they grow into a 5 or 6, right? Well, I wake up in the morning and I'm already knowing I'm an 8 because especially on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, because I know on them days I'm definitely going to have really no matter what's going to happen during the day. When 6 or 7 o'clock come, I'm gonna be in a place with people who feed me as much as I feed them. So it's one of those kind of spots. So there you go, 8.5. And again, fathers, I'm asking you everyone to please just share if you feel comfortable where you are, you feel in your mental health, 10 being the greatest and 1 being the lowest.
For me, I'm a 5, and I think I'm a 5 intentionally, right? I think I don't want to be more than a 5 for this reason. I think because being a 5, it keeps me from becoming what Pink Floyd once. They got a really good song I like. Pink Floyd once described as comfortably numb, right? And so I never want to become comfortably numb. Being that as it may, being a 5 keeps me sharp. It keeps me hungry. It keeps me wanting to know. It keeps me fighting. It keeps me advocating. It keeps me being an activist. So not only just being a 5 intentionally, but I think I need to be a 5 uh, to give 100, if that makes any sense. And so while we scoring ourselves 5 to 10, I think sometimes 10 and just being a 10 can be in essence a disability, right? Because it may stop you from being 100. And so because I am that 5, it gives me the force or the veracity of always giving 100 at whatever I'm going at or wanting 100% of whatever I'm trying to conquer in my life. And I think I do that more so and be the 5. And I think the main reason I'm a 5, intentionally a 5, is because I give other people the opportunity to bring the other 5% that I may be lacking for that particular day in this particular moment of my life, or particularly all my life. And so I guess that 5 leaves room for other 5s, you understand, to add to my life. And not only for me, them to add to my life, but for me to add to their life as well. So that's why I think I'm intentionally a 5.
I'd like to pick up on that as well. I would say that uh, earlier in my life, I was anywhere between a 4 and a 6, depending on the level of responsibility that I had to deal with at that particular time. What I found for me is that handling responsibility in some cases can be a little bit overwhelming. And because of that, it can become very easily depressing in some cases because either someone did not live up to an expectation or you did not live up to your own expectation, depending on how that particular situation went. So it would scale. But as I've gotten older and I have learned to do 2 things. That is, I've learned how to hand out responsibilities for other people to do, number one, and to not care so much about the end result. It is what it is, and you find out that, and I found and that's part of that maturing, and we all mature throughout our entire life. That maturing process kind of just teaches us that that some things that we thought were important were really not important at all. And those things that were not important became very important in our lives, like establishing relationships, and just becoming happy in life, and becoming content in the things that you do, and to learn in some cases to be a little bit selfish and to get those things done that you want to do instead of having to always look out for everyone else's needs. So I would say at this point in my life, I'm probably an 8 right now.
Well, yeah, the question asked by Ron is a deep question. How could I answer that question? And because it's a journey. Life's a journey, and along the journey we go through different phases. The most I would say for me, I exercise gratitude. I use that every morning. I use it every day. You know, we live in a world where you see something better, you see something that you want. I wish I had that. Why don't I have that? And I just exercise gratitude. I try to just be happy, look for happiness within me, and hopefully put a smile on everyone's face. Sometimes the journey can be tough, because there are times when I'm a number one, especially during I had a divorce. I was actually 0, to be honest, but I had to recoup and had to again put a smile on everyone's face, because today I don't see a lot of smiles today, and I try to hover around 9 and 10, to be honest with you. And if you come in my space and try to make me unhappy, you will not be allowed to do that. I own my space. I own my happy. I own my feelings, and I try my best to maintain it, because I believe happiness has its benefits. It's good for your heart. It's good for your soul, and most importantly, it's good for your children who come around you, because they feed off that energy. So I say right now I hover around 9 and 10, to be honest.
Hey, Trav is getting in, so I'm gonna just give you the question, Trav. Ron, or Dr. Ron, just asked us to rate our mental health from 1 to 10. So how would we see our mental health capacity or state of mind from 1 to 10 today or whenever, on average?
All right. Is Trey going or someone else?
You go ahead, Ella. You ready?
Okay. Yes. I know one time in my life where I was actually in a -4 or 5. I was in the Army in South Korea, Seoul, Korea, Republic, there. And I had worked one shift, and a piece of equipment came missing. Because we do an inventory every shift. And when I did, it wasn't there. A little small, about 12 by 16 breathing machine. What had happened, someone had stolen it and sold it on the black market. Since I had written up that the equipment was there, all eyes and accusations were on me. I was scared, nervous, had never gotten in trouble before. I love the military. When I put on my uniform, I put my uniform on, but proud, very proud to be in the U.S. Army. Well, I'm tell you short. I was so nervous that they want you to do a polygraph on me. Scared, never been in trouble before in my life. I get there, and they ask me these questions. Lo and behold, I failed the polygraph. I'm like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. And man, they start putting a pressure on me. The way people look, the way people talk, and it, me being away from my family. I'm way over in Korea. They're in Florida here. I start thinking crazy things. I start thinking, well, I don't need to go through this, and I just find a weapon and take care of business. I don't have to go through this again, go through this. But Lord, behold, that's not what God wanted for me. At the point where I was deciding on doing this, I got a call from my mom who told me that my grandfather, my dad's father, had passed away. But his death turned into a blessing in that I was able to come back with my family for 30 days, talking with them and especially praying about it. And that burden lifted. Then when I got back there, they wrote some paperwork and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, when you're discharged from one post and going to the next, they give you your records. Look in your records. The paperwork is gone because it should not have been there in the first place. Because I did not steal it and I did not sell on the black market. But now, today, I'm like around, I'm about 8, 9, because I get 5 gifts each and every day from God. Eyes to see, ears to hear, mouth to talk, hands that move, feet that move. And I can praise Him. And I do that when I get in my, thank you, Lord. I got this another day. Thank you for the blessings. And each and every day I do that and think about Him. And so that's my story. That you walk by faith and not by sight. And just hang on in there. The road's gonna get rougher sometimes, especially as fathers. But we have to hold on to God's unchanging hand. He's reaching out there for us. You just have to hold it. Hold on to Him and never let go. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Elder Thomas, maybe I meant, what did you say the number was again?
Where? Oh, now? You
Yeah,
talking about now?
yeah,
Hey,
number 9. Huh?
9.
9.
Yeah, 9, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yes. Like I said, because of the blessings I receive each and every day. And prayer works. Get you going and you get down talking with the Lord. And like I said, like you said earlier, you don't put no more on you than you can bear. And that's where you lean and trust Him.
And that's the thing as a believer, because sometimes it's like you got to translate, right? And so, as Elder Thomas is a brother, a fellow believer, I said you have to sometimes translate the science of what Elder Thomas is talking about. And so when you hear him say prayer work and stuff like that, and the common sense or the scientific, what he's trying to explain is those prayers protect you your belief on being broken. And you always hear, I think it was, I can't quote the thing exactly, but he says it's easier to build children than to repair broken men.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll hear this kind of stuff, but we can't make the connection, the transition between prayer and broken men. You don't want to see a man broke.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see the mind of a man that's broken. And then on the worst end, a broken man or a broken mind of a man can derive at 2 points. He can become suicidal, he can become homicidal. We mostly think, oh, I'm like, but you got to understand they're twins. They're Siamese twins because
Mm-hmm.
you can lean to either side. You understand? And I think the danger of mental health and being broken is the fact that most of us are not broken at our worst. You can actually break at your best.
Mm-hmm.
Again, let me say it again. You don't get broken at your worst. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
at your worst, you actually get built. There's more building going on at your worst than it is at your best. Most people that have broken at their best is because they don't think they can do no better. That makes sense. And so, being that as it may, if you think this is the best that you can get, or this is the best that you have done, you're more likely to kill yourself or kill somebody else because you don't think you can do no better. That's the definition of being broken.
Yes.
So with that, when you hear people talking prayer and faith and all that, it's connected to the two fundamental things that you need to exist just to get out of bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your belief, that's number one,
Mm-hmm.
very important. But what's deeper than your belief is your will. And which often you hear people say, not my will, but God's will. And I'm gonna tell
Mm-hmm.
you something, if you lack those two things, your will or your belief, you're pretty much, I've seen people, you hear people, and doctors have said this as well, people have lost the will to live.
Yeah. Yes.
They killed themselves, or better yet, they died mentally before it worked its way to the physical sense. And so with that, we can't take whatever power, right? Whatever exercise, mental exercise you use, be it prayer or psychiatry, you can't take that for granted, especially if you haven't tried it. Because I hear crackheads. I don't never hear like people when they get to their best moments and they really triumph and become very successful at something they thought they could never overcome, thanks to their psychiatrist. They always thinking God. They always thinking their faith. And I'm not against psychiatry, but I will not let psychiatry belittle faith as well. And so when I understand the history of the root psychiatry before we became psychiatrists, then I don't want that to be taken for granted, because you can listen to Elder Thomas and say, oh, and you would tone him out because you lack the experience. And most importantly, the sacrifice. It ain't until you get to have some sacrifice in your life, you're going to understand that type of mental health of faith that he's talking about. And so I don't want that to go unnoticed. I don't want it to go unused. I don't want it to go untried. I'm telling you what's the nearest thing to you. Try it all. Try some prayer before you can get to psychiatry, because you may not be able to get to your psychologist until tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
that prayer is the thing that you need to know. And there's so many deep things in our history that we have used, you understand, to build a country. But now we have to start using it to build our own consciousness now. And that's all I have to say. But Travis, I didn't want to take your time. Just give you more time to think, brother.
I mean, honestly, I thank you for that. What I was sitting here, I was thinking, I say, where's my number? I think every morning I wake up, I'm at a 10. And I guess when you wake up and you go throughout your day, it can stay at a 10, but sometimes it goes to 9, it goes to 8. As long as I'm in my purpose, and I say this, where we are in life, we have to work. We have to do certain things because we wasn't living. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. So literally, I have to work and I have to do the things that needs to be done so that my kids don't have to go through the things that I had to go through. So for me, it's like, yeah, when I have to go to these people jobs, I say that, and produce. I'm not gonna lie. I'm at an 8 or sometimes a 7, because sometimes you want to say certain things that you can't say when you want to say it, because at the end of the day, even if they do stupid stuff, you can't you just gotta keep your greatness to yourself. Because but when I'm operating in my purpose, like so today, I was able to take off today, and I was operating in my purpose. What God has me on this earth to do, I was doing that today. So honestly, I'm at a 9, because with that 9, I was able to not just be in my purpose, but also be the father, because I was at my son's basketball game today. So I was able to sit there and watch him and coach him. You know what I mean? I'm just at the end of the day, I still continue to be the husband, because at the end of the day, I have to see my wife and make sure that everything is okay, make sure the house is good. So I'm at like when I evaluate everything, I wake up at a 10, but when I got to go to do other things, the number goes down. But right now at this current date, at this current time, I'm at a 9 right now, and I'm happy for that.
Yes.
You know, I love that so much, Travis, because it
Yes.
speaks to
Yes.
what it speaks to is the idea of, even when I, working in the classroom, and as an educator, I've always told kids that they had a A, or they already had a 100. And what that does is already gives you a power and empowerment that you already, I'm at a 10. And if you're already at a 10, you know that you're gonna get beat down, right? So you might end your day at a 2, right? But you say, well, tomorrow I'll be starting back over at a 10. That's a phenomenal way to begin to really, for us, not just as fathers, but for anybody to really process.
That's
And I
true.
think it changes the idea of people thinking of everything in the negative, or the punitive, or in the problem based. If we solution based, because we're gonna have all the problems we want in the world. But if we know, and kind of almost speaking to the power that Elder Thomas was speaking to, if we know that we got a backing, and we already know we're protected, and the glory that we even wake up that next morning,
Yes.
we can already, Jack. So because guess what? There's a whole bunch of jokers didn't wake up the next morning.
That's
They
right.
didn't go to
That's
sleep
right.
the night before. So
That's right.
I'm at a 10, so I'm gonna go and let the world handle whatever they can handle until the next day, to my next 24 hours. So I love that. I love how you put that. And I hope some people are listening, people as they're watching, as they listen to what you said, they say, oh, let me hit the subscribe button, or let me hit the like button, let me hit the share button, because these are the kind of things that you don't get to hear every day. The average thing that you guys talking about right now, men our age, what are they talking about? Cam Newton getting jumped on, something negative, something that doesn't uplift our community, doesn't help our children one bit at all. For that to even be something that will be positive. And so I'm just so glad. Thank you for sharing that, Travis. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. Let's get to the next person.
No. But you got a point. Since you bought a Cam Newton. So and I got to, let's put it like this: we got to stop. We have to stop letting our crisis. We got to stop calling our crisis. I'm talking about African Americans, Black people. We have to stop labeling our crisis or stereotyping our crisis as senseless, right? Notice how when it comes to our crises, they call it senseless violence, senseless this, senseless that. We have an obligation, we have an accountability to make sense out of our crisis like everybody else makes sense out of their crisis. And the fact that I got both sides of the stories that what Cam Newton went through, I think they went through what they call when smack talking escalate. It's like playing dominoes and somebody go too far smack talking. And so I don't want to take something that can be practical and that's logical in every culture. It doesn't just happen in Black culture. It just got caught on camera. It happens at white football games a lot. Listen to me. Sometimes a lot. And so, and guess what? Has nothing to do with grown men going at it. Grown men stopped fighting because what the children was doing on the field. And so the fact that these guys was going at it, and I call it playing the dozens, and using what you call what most men do. We go at each other egos and machos and respect and most importantly pride. And when you start to do that in a public forum, now you start to understand the peer pressure of what our kids are going through in schools or on the street. And saying, why they shooting each other? I'm like, well, you got grown, established men, responsible men who are both, who both in a series of things because they know each other, Cam is rich by way of football, and these guys are professional men. So let's just put it like this. These are professional men, right? Under the peer pressure of clowning each other publicly. And they couldn't handle the pressure. So imagine what our children going through on the street or individually when they commit the homicides and the suicides that they do. So this was actually a teachable moment. Nobody's actually teaching it. And so until we start making our moments, teachable moments, people will continue to stereotype. But I'm gonna just leave that.
One other thing I wanted to say. There was a time when my wife and I were going through a period that was rough, point of separation. And that got me out my own apartment, left the house. And I was sitting there in the apartment one day. And I got a call that my aunt had passed. I'm very close to my aunts and uncles. 2 weeks later, a cousin died. A week later, another cousin died. Then my mom passed away. Then another aunt died. This was within about a 3 months period of time. I fell down on the floor and rolled into a corner in a fetal position, feeling hopeless, hurt, pain. And of course I prayed about it, but I know I need more than just pray. I need to talk with a professional. And that's what I did. Because there's something in my brain that went off that was not right. And I was given medication plus going in and talking with the doctors. That helped me. Along with prayer. And just lean on him, lean on God. And listening to what the doctors are telling me I should do. And at that point, I could say I definitely was negative. But able to make a point right now that my wife and I worked together, back together, stronger than before. And within marriage, you're gonna have those times when ebbs and flow and things happen. But I just thank God that we were able to reconnect. And there's a song that says, God restores. Oh, yes, he does. He restores.
But you know what? Not to mean to cut you off, Elder, but you're bringing up a pivotal point that we rarely talk about. And we're going to talk about the mental health of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, there's a mental health of marriage. I'm a married man. Travis is. Elder, LJ, one shot. I know you're just coming out of one, but I guess what? But you understand the value of it. As well as you do. I mean, you do too as well, Dr. Ron. But the mental health of marriage. As a husband, I can tell you this, and how it weighs on my mental capacity. When me and my wife get along, I feel like I conquer the world. When we at odds with each other, I feel like I'm under the world. And so I'm talking about, and that's the mental capacity of me. And so, and which is it's a weird dynamic of it because it's the double-edged sword. When when I feel like I can conquer the world, right? When me and her, when we're together, when we're united or whatever, we're on good terms. But when we're on bad terms, and I think most people can attest to this, when we're on bad terms, I feel like I'm under the world, but yet I'm the most focused at my job or whatever task I have to do for that day.
Mm-hmm.
So being at odds with my wife makes me more focused. You understand? But being united with her, it makes me more favorable, right? So I guess it makes me more happy being united with her. But when we at odds, I'm more focused because I tend to look at the world and life with a more serious lens. You understand? I'm looking through a microscope when we at odds with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're together and when we're happy with each other, I'm looking at life through a telescope. If that makes any sense. But you know what? Let's talk about of just not only marriages but relationship. What's your mental state when you at odds or when you're at favor with your wife and your significant other, your spouse, or even your children? How does it make you feel? Where you at in a 1 to 10 when it comes to that?
Can I answer? Can I jump in right quick?
Jump in.
Open, baby, it's open.
Oh, okay. No, so basically, I mean, I wanna hit that part too. But you know what I when I was talking about originally about how every time we wake up, we actually start at 10. We you know, and I honestly want to finish this thought because I came to a point where we all make mistakes. You know what I mean? We as human beings, we're gonna make mistakes. You know what I mean? And honestly, you know, there's no perfect person in the world. And I make sure I reiterate that again. That's where your numbers go down or up type of vibe. You know what I mean? When you're making mistakes, yeah, you genuinely as a genuine heart, you know, you try your best to not make those mistakes. You try to give people what you want to get back. And I think honestly, every day God gives us the opportunity to restart it over. You know what I mean? He allows us to do that, and I think that's where I get my learning how to forgive because a lot of people, when it comes down to their mental health, it starts with not forgiving. It started with having stuff on their heart that then generally put in their thoughts, and then their thoughts then start making emotional reactions, and it's a whole domino effect that people don't really talk about. This is the reason why I've always believed in forgiving people for they know not what they've done. Like at the end of the day,
Oh,
I think,
yes, my brother.
huh?
I said, oh, yes, my brother. Keep it up. That's right. Right on point.
Keep it going.
So if our father basically like I think that was one of the biggest points in in the word. If you look at it, you can know all the scriptures in the world, but that was the biggest thing. If our father can say that after he being beaten and being prosecuted and the whole nine y'all, if he can say forgive them for they know not what they do. That gave me that understanding that regardless of how many people try to attack me, how many people try to hurt me indirectly or directly, I'm gonna forgive them because they know not what they do. They don't realize that what they're doing to me is actually gonna be for me. It's gonna allow me to be stronger. It's gonna allow me to think faster. It's gonna build me to the man that I need to become. And so honestly, everything that I've been through, every hardship that I had from a kid into now, it allowed me to be sharper. It allowed me to not just, because we talk about mental health, we talk about sometimes we have to go through because that's the only way we're able to now know, now know like what we need not to do, and we can also help somebody else in the situation
Yes.
through so that they don't have to go through the certain things. Because I also believe in that as well. I believe that at the end of the
Yes.
we as people that been a part of this world already should reach back and teach somebody else. Reach back and show them, hey, you don't have to go like this is what I did to get over this. And I mean, honestly, that I think that's the biggest thing is that we have it, we just don't share it. And I mean, this platform that we're doing now, yes, it's sharing, but guess what? We need to make sure that everybody gets on. We need to make sure that everybody hears what's being said. I mean,
Yes.
I have an empowerment conference coming up Thursday. And honestly, it's like it's crazy that we can get so many people to come to a negative party or turn up and be, but we can't get people to come to something that's going to uplift them, that's going to educate them, and just give them the empowerment they need, because they're not used to that. They're used to somebody inviting them to a party and everybody getting drunk and getting high and getting turned up, and that's it. And we get a simple high instead of getting something that's everlasting. I'm done. I just wanted to say that.
Hey, Travis, I really want to second what you're saying about we can get people to rally and come to things that is negative. And when I mean that, I don't mean that people having a good time and those things are negative, but you know, if when it comes to will people run to watch some kids fight, everyone will run down the hall to watch the fight. If somebody fell down the steps, they keep on walking like it never happened. Person who get an honor roll, they be booing that person. You know. And so very much so what you're saying is it's so important that if people could just get the
high.
Get the 10 stamped on instead of always going for the 1. You know, they want the 10, but they really always grab it for the 1.
Because everybody wants that quick high. Like everybody wants that. Nobody wants to go through the work like you need to become great. Everybody want to be rich, but nobody want to go through the hardship that it takes for you to get there. You know what I mean? Everybody want to be successful, but nobody wants to go through the hardship that it takes to get that. Everybody wants the big house, but nobody wants to pay the bills. Everybody wants a nice car, but nobody wants to go through what it needs to go. So I'm like this. If you want something, and I try to teach these kids every day, all day, like if you want something, you got to go through it. Like at the end of the day, everybody wants a quick high. The quick high don't last long. We can turn up at a party, dance and have fun, sweat our clothes, but you're gonna lay back down and realize that you really didn't get nothing out of that. That was a moment, but what are you gonna have later on? What are you gonna carry on? That's gonna help you uplift your future. So it's just I don't know. I mean. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you what it is, because I don't want to be too hard on them. Remember, you just said something, and you just said it. So you answered your own question when you said, "Our Father said, forgive them; they know not what they do." And so that's letting you know it's not a cultural issue; that's a global issue. People are more likely to chase hurt before they chase healing. Right? That's just the human nature. That's the sin nature. That's what we do. But the best part about it is the hurt works together for the healing. And so when they receive or they start to seek and receive the healing, they can have a greater appreciation for it than had they just been obligated to it. And so we have to be careful to stop to try to obligate people, to give people an obligation towards good and not an appreciation for it. And I would rather people be in a what they call an appreciation relationship with good than an obligation relationship with good. Because the obligation of relationship with good produces crooked politicians and preachers. You understand? Because it was an obligation relationship. Oh, but when you're in an appreciation relationship, oh my God, that's when the spirit starts to flow. That's when you start to know. You understand? Who you are. I heard old preachers, I'm going to use that. Who you are and whose you are. I always wanted to I always wanted to use. But that's it. And so even in your marriage and in the relationship that you in your own relationship.
Yes.
Even with your children, there's an obligation relationship between the ages of 0 to 18. But boy, when they hit that stage between 25 to 40, that's when the appreciation relationship kick in. That's when they done went through something. That's when, you understand? That's when they start to see you in the totality of you. And they start to explain you better than you can explain you. It ain't nothing when your kids are talking. You know what? That's it. That's honor. That's what I'm trying to say. That's when you achieve honor. And so, yes, it may take a long time for people to really appreciate truth and good and morale and this and that. But boy, when they get there, you understand? You would have to say a word because they will honor you. You just have to be humble enough to make sure they don't worship. And I'm going, LJ, go ahead and kick in, baby. Tell me about
Yes,
the mental health in
yes,
marriages and stuff and how you experience it.
yes.
Well, I think that that's why I think it is so important that you guard your heart. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about that thing that's beating on the left side of your chest.
Right.
Your heart is actually your spirit. You have to guard your spirit. You have to, and I mean, you have to watch what goes in your eye gate, your ear gate, those things that, because they're just open doors for things
Hmm.
that pour into your spirit. What I used to try to explain to my kids um, when they were younger is that God invented sex.
Yeah.
Okay, we were created for sex. Now he wanted, but the idea for sex is between one man and one woman, and there was a reason for that because the only time that your spirits can actually touch is
Yeah.
actually during sex. Those are the only
That's
time you
right.
can have. That's why they say two can become one.
Right.
It's during
Yes.
sex. Okay. And what you don't want, and when you find people that are all messed up and can be all kind of crazy, every time you have sex with somebody, they're getting some of your spirit, you're getting some of their spirit. You're taking it with you. What you don't want to become is your spirit to be schizophrenic because you have so many spirits that are running around because of that. But that's the reason why you did those things. But that and so it's important to understand that we have to guard against those things as best we can. I mean, we're human. We're in a fallen world. Those things are gonna happen. Okay, but it's just very important, and that's why that helps during a marriage. That helps your mentality because you wonder why sometimes you become depressed for no reason. Where did that come from? You know, and that could just be something that has spoken to you through your spirit realm. Um, but it's those all those things can be corrected. And like I said, through the help not only of through prayer, but also through professionals and through those things that we work through those things and we come to a very positive medium about how things could go. And that saves marriages, that saves relationships, that saves friendships, that saves all those things. And but it's important that you have to be aware of what goes in what you're looking at, of what you're hearing, what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
what you're speaking. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You can speak life. And if you're speaking life, you can give those things, those positive things, but you can also speak cursings. You can speak damnation as well. So we have to just be mindful of those things that we do. And I think a lot of things, that's a sign of immaturity when we get a lot of times we all lose control. Especially you find that kids lose control more than anybody else because they have no maturity. That's a sign of immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
And they let their emotions take over and they go, absolutely crazy. And we were out at the Trunk Historical Festival on Saturday.
I
And
was there.
oh, you were there?
I went,
Oh, yeah. Okay. And everything, and it always happens. It happens at Goombay. It happens at the historical festival. Almost every festival you go to, everything usually works great during the day. Let the night fall.
No my.
Here comes the
Hmm.
trouble every time, you know. And it's just that those things just tend to bring out the worst in people. I don't know what it is about nightfall. People, I guess they want to they do like they say, do things in the dark that you
Yeah.
won't do in the light. But my point is that you just have to be mindful
Mhm.
of what you allow to
Uh,
enter into you.
L,
And,
L,
and uh, Lawrence, did you give us your mental health number?
Yeah, I said it was an 8.
Okay, good.
Ron, as we discussed mental
No,
health,
no, Rohan, did you give your mental health number?
yeah, 9 to 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have been sleeping somewhere or
It's all
something.
right, man. You're awake now, so as as we go down the journey of mental health,
Love you.
we gentlemen are aware that we have many brothers who are not on this program. Many brothers that are probably down by Broad Boulevard. I regular those neighborhoods, and I see many men on the streets, many different nationalities of men on the streets that who are going through pain, who are going through some form of mental health problem, in my opinion, and this is a very serious topic. We know that many of those men are fathers. They have children. For some reason along the journey, they're what I call the forgotten people, meaning they're standing on the side of the street, but most times we keep our heads straight through the windshield. We don't see them. And mental health, the topic here is mental health for the modern male father, but it has been around for years. Recently, we had a guy, the police shot a guy who pulled a knife at the hospital in Miami, and they asked him to put down the knife, and he didn't, and he got shot. I don't know what the result of that, but we see mental health around us every day. In our jail system, we're seeing people killing people in the jail, and we know most of the people in the jail are sometimes undiagnosed or diagnosed, and we see the wheel turn. They get arrested, go to jail, go to court, jail, back on the street, arrested, go to court, and that wheel continues. And these are fathers who, again, they're the forgotten fathers who they ain't got no money, so the system is going to spit them right back out. So we have to, as we go along the journey, I don't know how we could change or find solutions, but many of our fathers need support. We need maybe financial support or just support, someone to talk to, because the jail system is not the place for them to be at. Being on the side of the road, looking for a quarter. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, if a female on the road begs for money, she gets more help than a male. Have you guys ever noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is that? Why is it a female gets more help than a male?
Yeah, because that's how our system is set up, Rohan.
That's what it said. Okay.
The whole system is set up for that,
But yeah, you're right. We're conditioned to do that.
yeah.
We're conditioned to help women than we are to
yeah,
help
we have an idea that a man, he can go out and make something happen, just like I did. Women don't. We really truly have this bias that women can't make things happen, because they are we sunning them, as I like to call it.
But yeah, I want to speak to Rohan and LJ's point. I'm gonna start with LJ first. LJ, you spoke about something about the system, because I was out there as well, about the kids, pretty much, or the youth rather, starting trouble. I think when I had a chance to work for the Nonviolence Project, 1996, something like that, and I worked for the CEO, the chairman of the board at that time was Dr. Michael Nobel, and so having a chance to sit down and eat with him, all of us at the table. We had did this big event at the end. Matter of fact, God had blessed me with a vision to do this big nonviolence closeout event at the NFL Yet Center, and they had just opened. They first year opened. And so we had a class in there. We were teaching nonviolence the whole summer. So we had an end of year summer event we did. It was so successful. Everybody was celebrating it. They gave me a raise. And then they had everybody to go out to South Beach, and we went to Tap Tap. That's what it was, a restaurant. I'll never forget. Dr. Nobel them flew in from him and Paris Hilton and mom and dad. They flew in from Sweden because they were the chairmen. They had a lot of money in the organization. So we sit down at Tap Tap, and Dr. Nobel said these words, and I don't think he might have said it at Tap Tap, but I know he did coin it. He said, people, And he didn't say youth. He said people. So he left it universal. He said people will rather be infamous than ignored, right? And when he said that, I mean, it made sense right away for me. And guess what? I was still in my ignorant state. You understand? But I understood. I understood even more when you fast forward 25 years later. I'm like, 100% correct. Simply because of this. When I walked out to the Sistrunk Parade festival, I saw a lot of children that was willing to be, a lot of youth that was willing to be infamous at any moment, then ignored. The reason they was willing to be infamous and ignored is not so much they didn't have a good companionship of with the community that genuinely loved them. They start to put themselves in competition with a community that don't. And so when children and youth become a desire to be a companion with communities that don't love them, then they become competitors in their own community. This is why you start to see youth killing each other. They're separated literally by one box, which simply means they're in the same community. Right? You see a lot of it. I mean, you see it right here in Liberty City, Miami, Broward, whatever. And so that's an indictment on us as adults, because we talk about environmental health. What have we collectively taught our children? That they feel like we put competitive, and we put more value on being more competitive than each other than being companions to each other. And then we say, well, why are they killing each other? I'm like, because what you thought was simple competitorship or competitiveness, you understand, turned into a very vile, uncontrollable competitiveness that you didn't know you saw, because you started. And guess what? We make them start competing, guess what, from birth as siblings. When we start labeling them, oh, that's the good son and that's the bad one.
Wow.
Consciously. Which is exactly your point, LJ. We got to be careful what we're sowing, because words are just simple seeds. And so that's the good one and that's the bad one. All of a sudden, you got two kids in the house, brothers that grew apart. One grew in the good directions where you said he was, the other one grew to the bad where you said he was. But you got to understand, they also have guess what? They have a congregation too that's going on in the same house. They're saying that's a good one and that's a bad one. And so guess what? The good one is found in his crew, the bad one is found in his. And then we're asking, well, what happened? Remember, I told you, we're not making sense out of the senselessness, because most of the time we're causing the senseless stuff that happens. We sold it, but we want to forget about it. Now, back to your point, Rohan. Your point to the homeless guys on the side of the road, and while we drive by, is because poverty is traumatic. You understand? And if you have your own accountability and responsibility and your own traumas in your own life, you understand? Just to take that, whether you're going to work or coming from work, just to see a homeless person on the road, just to see that experience is traumatic. It's about as close as you want to get to seeing somebody being murdered. The only thing is they're not dead, but technically they're already on their way to dying. And so this to try to process that sadness, either on my way to work or on my way home, I don't want to deal with it because I don't have the mental capacity to do so. And so we got to understand that's not their problem. Their problem is still all of our problem. And if you're surrounded by it, you're traumatized. And as much as you want to be a 10, you cannot be a 10 in that environment. And I would just leave it right there.
Well said.
You know, to pick up on Rohan's point, when you spoke about the female asking for money and the male asking for money, I don't know if you, and I show you how parents can have an impression on you. There's a difference between like a black panhandler and a white panhandler if you see them on the street, you know. And when I say that, we saw this white panhandler, and my dad looked at him and he said to me, he said, son, he said, that's a waste of a good white man right there.
Wow.
You know, and his point was, if he has no business panhandling, because you got all the opportunities available to you in the world. The last thing that you need to be doing is asking people for money because you got the opportunity to make money in any
Mhm.
situation, you know. And so you must be sorry if
Hmm.
if you panhandling, you know, uh, so we take things and it show you how, and that occurs to me almost every time I see a white panhandler. That pops in my mind from what my dad said, you
Hmm.
know. Uh, but we do look at things and skew things that way. Females, males, white, black, or whatever the case may be.
Mental
You
health
up?
is,
Wake up, Ron.
Oh no. Listen, y'all forget. One thing y'all forget is why I'm behind the scenes. I'm doing all the managing of who comes on to the site. This is that's why I say this is high tech, man. And but I know it's gonna be a little bit more I'm watching all these different streams and different lives and places that we streaming. And actually we end up just getting some guy connected, sending me a note. I'm gonna see what he gonna say afterwards about the YouTube page, but I'll see what he's talking about later. But again, folks, this is um I, I had something that I was thinking when Rohan was talking, and he was, kind of really speaking, and I think about this very often is that, you know, and when we're thinking about our mental health. You hear this statement all the time about someone being a helpmate. As human beings, we know that we're not meant to be alone, right? We're not meant to be by ourselves.
Right.
And a lot of times it is very difficult we may have comradeship and brotherhood with another man who may help us, but it's nothing like the power of our 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 soul intimate partner to be able to lift us up, also to bring us down, and then turn us around. Because
Hmm.
that's a big part of when we talk about what's the importance of marriage. Important in marriage is not what we sometimes have this glamorized view of the wedding and all this superficial things. The idea of marriage is really to be able to have a partner to navigate the world with. This idea that is, this is why it has been made so financially um, uh, encouraging to be
Yeah.
married. Well, they have all, financially encouraging because, listen, there's no doubt about it. You can say whatever you want, but if a husband and a wife brings 50-50 to the marriage of what they have, they still will have money, the other 50%. And then you imagine what they can do to manage their 50% as 100% for a household that you would be paying 100% for yourself, as well
Yeah.
as the woman. Then you have that same amount of money to be able to do other things that then could contribute to the household that you have. And sometimes people don't think about it that way. They don't think about hey, how are they able to do all those things? Because every other month they switch, every month they decide who's going to pay who the trip they're going on. You say, hey, what? What do you mean? Because that old patriarchy idea. If you're a black man in America, you can, if you're not getting on board with this idea that you're going to have to be a partner with your wife, not her master. And that's not just a partner in intellect, physicality, finance. That's a partner in everything. Neither one of you gonna make it. And we see that right now. We have tons of very powerful, very financial, very fine, sexy, and intellectual women that ain't got no man. Why? Because they're not coming to this saying that I need a partner. I need somebody. Somehow bought into this individualism and that's to me is what ends up leading people to this mental health issue. Because now remind me what Rohan was saying. Rohan was saying, Rohan, you was describing the streams of mental health issues, right?
Right.
And that everybody knows. And that's one of the problems. Because all the time, just like in fatherhood, we have fathers who say, oh, I don't need to come on here because this ain't my marriage good. I got a good relationship with my kids. I don't need to come here because everything is good. They only look at things being useful if it's in a stream or allegedly in the negative. When we don't say that, oh, I only need air when I can't breathe. I only need water when I'm thirsty. I need water all the time. So these things, we always need them. But many of us will say, no, I'm good. I'm already good. And then when we really evaluate it, that's when we know. And I'm gonna come back to Elder Thomas and Lightborn and Travis. When we think we're good, that's when we're lost. Because we don't have control over us being good. And we know who has that control and who has that manifestation of that occurring. So a lot of time when we too big for our britches, we ride high, not ever thinking about that anything. But we know the higher you ride, the longer your fall is back down to the ground.
Yes.
If you even make the ground, you might go, because when you come high to the ground and you hit the ground, sometimes you don't hit the ground, you go down a little bit underneath the ground. So that's a little subliminal for y'all to think about.
Let the doctor kick in. You're in time, man. So let me, I'll just let you know.
Gentlemen, a quick one. We talk about mental health here, and that's a very deep topic. We may know someone who may have it. We may have encountered it along the journey. But let's talk about also what people self-prescribe. We know there are people who use alcohol, which is commonly sold, marijuana, cigarettes, fentanyl. All of these drugs are being used for a reason. Is it used to suppress the pain? Is it being used to get away from the pain?
Yes. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So exactly. Listen, Rohan, you asked a question. You want to know why? And I give you, for example, me. I've never took a drug ever in my whole entire life. I never drunk. When I was a kid, I tasted wine cooler and I tasted beer, right? But in the rest of my life, I have never, because the relationship that I believe that it had was to make me feel better for something I was feeling bad about. What I was exposed to. Not from there's people out here who that's not their story, but what I was exposed to is people use the drugs and the alcohol, the sex, the gambling to make them, the shopping, the womanizing, all these things they use to make themselves feel better about something they wasn't feeling good about. And if you feel good, if you can have the power to get up, like Travis said, in the morning and be a 10, guess what happens? You don't find yourself getting up in the morning and see the mail lady come in and say, hey, what's up, baby? How you doing? You looking good, delivering the mail. And you get on the bus and the bus driver, you say, oh, girl, you looking good. And you don't find yourself doing that because you feel good about who you are. And you hoping that they see you as the prize and say, hey, sir, you looking good today. Thank you very much, because I'm blessed by the best.
We are time, gentlemen. So,
woo!
That's a good way to end that, Ron.
Yeah. So again, folks, if you're out there, thank you for joining us tonight. We have come to the end of another fantastic conversation about mental health in the modern father. And you heard some really good things tonight. I hope. Please share with your friends, share with other people, like, share, subscribe, get our numbers up, get our subscribers up. We will be here tomorrow night. We got a special treat for fathers that come to the private fathers only meeting. We're gonna be viewing something very unique We're gonna put it into the Zoom. So you join us tomorrow, continuing our conversation about modern mental health and the modern father. And then we'll be, again, we'll be here back again next week. Again, thank the fathers here who, thought it not robbery to come and be here tonight, but it probably wasn't robbery. It probably was inspiration, and probably was you filling up your glass with us together, filling up, I think we've gotten a circle and washed each other's feet tonight. So I think that's that's a better way to put it. And I think that's a great way to be able to look at it, because I think that a lot of times people have this delusion about what we do here. And I ask them all the time, just watch and come and participate. There ain't no one person talking. It's not a what's the things I hate? A webinar. It's not a webinar. This is a conversation for every father to be one. And then with that being said, Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Come on, Father. I say that I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that Black history, we are.
We are.
Champions.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Yes, sir. Throw it up. Throw it up.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Father, for joining. We'll see y'all again here next week on Fatherhood Think Tank, or tomorrow night in the private father only room.
All right. Y'all be blessed.